The institution of slavery has been such a prominent feature of U.S. history that it is hardly surprising to find the roots of our popular music embedded in this tortured legacy. Indeed, the first indigenous U.S. popular music to capture the imagination of a broad public, at home and abroad, was blackface minstrelsy, a cultural form involving mostly northern whites in blackened faces, exaggerating, misrepresenting, and demeaning African American culture. Minstrels, in essence, communicated to their large and growing audiences that enslaved African Americans enjoyed being enslaved, that life on southern plantation slave labor camps was more entertaining and less degrading than the wage labor of the North. Between the Civil War and the turn of the century, minstrelsy was gradually supplanted by vaudeville, a variety show format that marked the beginning of popular entertainment as big business. From its modest beginnings at Tony Pastor's Opera House in New York's Bowery, vaudeville had evolved by the end of the century into a national network of hundreds of venues dominated by the Keith Albee Theater chain in the East and the Orpheum Circuit in the West. Because middle-class home entertainment at this time centered around the piano, sheet music was the main vehicle for the mass dissemination of music, and sheet music publishing firms concentrated in a neighborhood of New York City known as Tin Pan Alley were at the center of the music business. Music publishers were not particularly interested in the cylinder phonograph that Thomas Edison had invented in 1877. They were too far preoccupied with the sale of their sheet music, their primary source of revenue, to bother with records. Not yet, anyway. Tin Pan Alley also supplied the music played in early motion picture theaters, popularly known as Nickelodeons, that appeared early in the new century. Viewing motion picture films and singing along to the illustrated songs performed in between the brief films quickly became a popular and cheap way to spend an evening for the working class masses. Middle-class social reformers were often quite critical of motion picture content, as well as the unsanitary environments and unsafe conditions in early makeshift theaters. In response, the motion picture industry evolved rapidly, developing more refined content and more luxurious theaters in an effort to overcome these obstacles. The rise of Tin Pan Alley and the moving picture industry through the first few decades of the 20th century paralleled the emergence of ragtime, a syncopated African American music with structural ties to European marches. Tin Pan Alley songwriters appropriated aspects of ragtime to churn out incredibly popular hits, such as Irving Berlin's Alexander's Ragtime Band and Everybody's Doing It. These were songs that were well suited to new social dances like the one-step, two-step, and turkey trot. A similar, but far more complicated pattern characterized Tin Pan Alley's use of the blues, and later, jazz. The blues appeared at about the same time as ragtime and used, according to writer Amiri Baraka, a three-line verse form that springs from no readily apparent Western source, as well as other African retentions, such as the call and response style that typifies the singing of many West African tribes.